Ew, gross. Hey, it's me, Jeff, the SP Spaz, and welcome to another Wild Wednesday. Yes, these are the videos I do where I rant about things or just give a little straight talk, some things that need to be said. And today, I'm really going to get into the controversy because, last time I talked about letting people enjoy what they enjoy, have their own preferences and things like that. So here's where we get really into the thing that's going to offend people. So if you're, once again, as always with the Wild Wednesday videos, if you're easily offended, you're going to want to tune out rather than flag or report or try to shut my channel down. You just watch something else, go back to whatever bizarre thing is happening on YouTube that they're putting on the front page or whatever it is you want to do. Because today's video is sort of the flip side of the let people enjoy what they enjoy. Let people be repulsed by what they're repulsed by. This is another thing that is amazing to me, that there is a prevailing sort of trendy societal viewpoint about many issues that, I don't know, I'm not one of those back in the old days, everything was better type of people. But I do remember, it seems like I remember a time where people could have different opinions and could have preferences and like things and dislike other things, including the way people look, dress, behave, whatever it is. And that was okay. Like, not everybody had to be on the exact same bandwagon about every societal trend. And you didn't have people try to use social media and media in general to try to ruin people's lives and careers and everything based on opinions that they disagreed with. Now it seems that this is rampant, that if somebody is bothered by something, regardless of what it is, it's time to go after them, to take them down. And it's really bizarre, and it's disturbing. That I've talked a lot about groupthink and versus individualism. And when you try to make everybody conform to the same way of thinking. But again, here's where I'm going to offend people, because there is this prevailing thought that when it comes to something, for instance, sexual behavior, that basically everyone is supposed to embrace whatever somebody decides to identify themselves with when it comes to sexual behavior, and not be repulsed by things that they don't approve of, agree with, or just enjoy watching or listening or hearing about. I want to make this perfectly clear, if nothing else. Just because you don't like something or it isn't your cup of tea does not mean that anyone who does whatever this thing is, that you have any kind of animosity toward them. It doesn't make you a bigot. It doesn't make you hateful. It doesn't make you want to do violence to them. Yet this is the way, this is the viewpoint that's being perpetuated, is that if somebody does not just accept the prevailing wisdom when it comes to sexual behaviors, and that's just one example. That's not the only one, but there's been a whole lot about it recently in media. That person is a hateful bigot, a backwards person who's from the past and wants to do violence and kill everybody who expresses viewpoint. And the flip side of that, of course, is that anyone who supports this way of thinking, or has sort of the whatever sexual identity you want to go with is fine, and it's okay to teach this to kids and all this kind of stuff. If you support that, then obviously you're on board for 100,000 other things, and there's no line there. Like whoever wants to include something in that can do so whenever they want, and you just got to accept it. I remember back in the early years of The Simpsons, there was an episode where Marge basically started a protest against cartoon violence because of what was on Itchy and Scratchy. And because she did this, she formed this sort of group to combat the cartoon violence. And the group sort of took on a mind of its own in terms of going beyond what it is that she wanted to do, which was get the Itchy and Scratchy cartoons, or the violent cartoons, to stop. And they wanted to go on to address other things in media that they didn't like, that had like violent or sexual themes or whatever, including they wanted to protest against the statue of Michelangelo's David as being pornography because David's nude in the statue. And Marge objected to this because she said, this is like art. So she wasn't on board with that. And the way they wrap up the episode was always kind of unsatisfying to me, because she kind of says, well, I guess if I can't be against one and not the other, because that's like an inconsistent viewpoint. That's not true. The truth is, people can have preferences about art, about society. People have the right to want the kind of society they want. They can say, this is how I'd like for people to be in terms of around me. These are the type of people I want around me. These are the type of activities I'd like to see. These are what I'd like my kids to see and not see. And people can get together and they can disagree on those things, but they can find consensus and come to sort of an agreement on how their society is going to be set up. And they don't have to be at each other's throats about it and call each other names and form this two-sided thing. That's another one of my pet peeves that will come up many times in this video. It already has. But this idea that everything is two sides, it's us versus them, and it seems like it keeps being added to. The longer I live, the more it's like the mountain on the two sides is getting bigger and bigger of these are the things you have to swallow to be on team A or team B, and you have to choose. And as soon as you're on one of those, you have to agree with everything that team does, and anything else, and you're off the team or you're on the other team. Whether the other team accepts you or not, they're going to call you that because that's the only thing they know how to do, is attack the other side, the side of whatever it is. And it's ridiculous, but I see it happen so much of the time. And even people that I've liked and respected, I see, make Facebook posts saying things like, I come to the conclusion I'm never going to understand the other side and things like that. And I'm like, really? If you, instead of looking at sides, and why don't you actually talk to the people and find out what the actual issues are, and not just be ready to go to war over the slightest disagreement about something. This video is unfocused, which the Wild Wednesday videos will be. And so I'm going to feel fine with that. I'm not going to be disappointed in myself for being incoherent, because I'll come back to these themes. But the main point of this is to say that somebody can be repulsed by something that's repulsive to them, and that's okay. It does not make them an evil person for not liking whatever it is they don't like. And that could be anything from, somebody, the way somebody dresses to, tattoos and piercings and things like that, again, it's like people are just supposed to accept, oh, well, that's just how people look now. Well, no, it doesn't have to be. And it's okay for somebody to think that looks gross. Like, it doesn't mean that they're a hateful person and that they want that tattooed, pierced person to have bad things happen to them. They can have that viewpoint, and it doesn't make them some sort of backwards bigot who's trying to destroy freedom. In fact, it really seems like lately that the shoe has been more on the other foot, that the people that used to be pro-freedom seem to be less and less that way. It's more like, you need to swallow our agenda or you're the bad one, and we need to stop you and take you down. And so this is not, as much as it may sound like it, really isn't a political video, because I'm saying that the whole two sides thing is stupid. So this is not a left wing or right wing position. And I'm sure somebody will call it that because, again, that's what people do now, is it label it a thing and then go after that because you're on this side or whatever. That's not what it is. This is a much more general comment that keeps coming up over and over again because, like, the latest thing is, I think Mario Lopez made some comment. I didn't read it, so I don't know what he actually said, but he made some comment about, teaching kids, not teaching little kids that, they can basically decide whether they want to be boys or girls. And he was like vilified for this. It's okay. Like, I'm not even taking a position on the actual content of what he said. See, understand me, please, that this is not even me defending the actual words he said. It's defending his right to say his opinion and not have people say, oh, well, he needs to be destroyed now because he said this thing that doesn't go with what people are supposed to believe now. And I know what some people may be thinking. Before I wrap up this video, I'm going to address one thing, because somebody out there I know is thinking or saying to themselves right now, but Jeff, if you say it's okay for people to believe whatever they believe or be repulsed by whatever, what about those people who are just repulsed by somebody who's a different skin color than them or a different ethnicity, or, and they just use this to justify racism? Your whole thing about setting up a society, well, that's how we got slavery and all these other things. Okay, I understand your point about that. But just because you accept that people are allowed to have other views and you don't try to destroy them over it, does not mean that you have to agree with their views. It does not mean that you still don't fight for what you think society should be. And if your ideal society has people of different skin colors and ethnicities together and getting along and not being separated or divided by that, then great. Fight for that. Go for that. Don't try to destroy people who have a different viewpoint than you, because the thing is, if you focus on what you're actually trying to accomplish, you focus on the positive accomplishments, the getting, which is consensus and people agreeing on the things that you want to exist in society or the things you don't want, that is much more effective than a smear campaign or a destroy someone's career campaign or whatever it is against someone you disagree with. You can succeed temporarily in destroying that person and their lives and other people that they care about. Because don't forget, is when you destroy someone's livelihood, you're also affecting their family and everybody involved in that. A lot of innocent people may have nothing to do with it, may not even agree with the person who said whatever they said. But the thing is the more that you do that, the more, again, I said this before, I'm going to say it again, when you attack people's viewpoints where you create sort of this underground swelling of something, you end up with a stronger and more insidious version of the thing that you tried to destroy in the first place. So the method is wrong, is what I'm saying. And the attitude of trying to control people's minds, the thought police are never going to win. And if they do, it's basically the destruction of human society as we know it. Even the societies that have succeeded in basically limiting people's freedom as much as possible, most of them have eventually fallen apart because it is human nature to fight against that, especially, the SP types in there who are never going to accept that conformity is the way, no matter what you say. So anyway, hopefully that you understand what I was saying, even though I rambled and went in several different directions. And I'll talk more about this in the future. I welcome your comments, even if it's just to say that I don't know what I'm talking about and I need to be shot or whatever. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do that and like and share this video with all of your friends who want to call you a hateful bigot because you say you don't like cheeseburgers. And we'll see you next week for another Wild Wednesday.